people.
A city.
A nation. A world divided.
A splitting of a city.
A splitting of lives.
Written and performed by Zeke Armijo,
Molly Jerome.
Candace Maurer. And Micaela Vargas.
Settle down, everyone. Take your seats. We have a lot to cover today. Notebooks, please. Yesterday, we learned how Germany was divided.
I remember, as a consequence of defeat, the Allied leaders of France, England, the United States, and the Soviet Union decided to split Germany into two blocks, East and West, and its capital city, Berlin, into 4 zones.
But the rebuilding of a war-torn Europe was also an important topic. Through the Marshall Plan, America funded the rebuilding of Europe's infrastructure at a cost of $13 billion. Over time, West Germany was a thriving independent republic, a member of NATO, and in 1955 it saw an end to Allied occupation. Zeke, can you read the next paragraph?
Meanwhile, East Germany, under Soviet control, remained in a war-torn economy. Housing, food shortages, and unemployment were rampant. The Soviet Union refused to provide aid until adequate reparations had been paid by the German people.
In fact, 33% of industrial equipment and $10 billion worth of agricultural and industrial products were confiscated by the Soviet government as payment.
Why should we care what happened in Germany?
Because the division of Germany and the events that followed changed the course of history.
How?
I'll get to that in a minute. The devastated economy encountered by East Germans forced them to seek a better life in West Berlin. Some found employment in the West, but chose to live in the East. In fact, my mother was one of those people. She worked in a West Berlin bakery, but returned to the East Berlin apartments to share with her sister. Let me tell you their story.
Here's something for you to eat, Zach.
No, you keep it. I'm not hungry anyway.
You must eat. It's a long shift.
Stop worrying. I'll buy you a Coca-Cola on my way to the bakery.
Oh, don't tease me. You know we can have that here in the East. Please, take it.
Such a mother hen. I'll see you in the morning.
Millions of people were defecting to West Germany, and by 1961, 1,000 people were leaving daily. East Germany, or the German Democratic Republic, began to explore the idea of a barrier around their nation. Unbeknownst to the East German people, with the permission of the Soviet government, workers laid 30 miles of barbed wire in the dark eyes of August 12, 1961. Berliners were separated.
What happened to your mother and your aunt?
My mom and her sister were separated on opposite sides of the wall. They were stuck there for decades.
Marta, my sister did not come home this morning. There's barbed wire blocking the road. Do you know what is going on? I tried crossing, but the guards stopped me. People everywhere were confused and angry. So many of us stood on the streets, waiting for our family members to return. Okay, please, just let me know if you hear anything. Thank you.
What is all this barbed wire? I'm so scared. Why did they do this? I see that they're letting people back into East Germany. But if I go home, will the GDR accuse me of being a spy? Will the Stasi or secret police accuse me of being a dissident? I could be arrested. What about my family? Informants are everywhere. What do I do? I know I'm on the side of freedom. I need to stay here.
Oh my God, I'm so worried. I feel so helpless. I don't know what's happening here or over there.
3 days later, the barbed wire was replaced by concrete bricks. Soon after, armed guard towers were built, and East German soldiers patrolled with loaded guns. What was that? Oh, that's a good question. Why didn't the Allies do something about the wall? Well, the possibility of provoking war with the Soviets was too great. In President Kennedy's words, better a wall than a war. Oh, there were threats, but it was mostly bluffing. The U.S. would not contest the wall. To the world, the Berlin Wall became a symbol of the Cold War.
We are furious that the United States is refusing to intervene. Allied soldiers stand by and watch as people fleeing the East are killed. Despite our protests and rallies, we are powerless. Eventually, we learn to accept what we couldn't change. This wall is 96 miles of reinforced concrete that stands 15 feet high, electrified fences, floodlights, and guard dogs. Prevent me from seeing my sister.
Halt! Come close and I'll shoot! I patrol this death strip with orders to shoot escapes on sight. My fellow officers and I are rewarded promotions for these shootings.
The government makes us believe the wall is meant to protect us. The communists are afraid we will be corrupted by the capitalists. All I know is that I miss my sister. For me, travel is forbidden, and any letters that I write will be read by the Stasi.
Once a month, I come to this park by the wall in hopes of catching a glimpse of my sister. I write letters to Frida, but I have to be careful what I say. It could be dangerous for her.
November 15th, 1963. I think if you pay me, there are so many things I wish I could tell you. I'm still at the factory. They demand more productivity, yet we can never meet it. I'm so tired. There are so few people here I can trust. Remember Fritz, our neighbor? He left today to serve his mandatory military tour for the GDR. I told him I would wait for him.
June 6, 1965. Great news. I graduated from the university and met an American soldier stationed here. I love rock and roll. The Beatles are my favorite. I climbed up on the platform hoping to see you on the other side. I miss you every day. Hopeful.
It's been 14 years with the wall. The GDR tried to instill fear in those who try escaping. But still, I try to find the positives every day. The GDR boast about the unity of our country. They talk of how we have no unemployment. I guess I should be grateful to the GDR for this nice apartment and the food on our table. There's no crime here. And as a woman, I do appreciate how we're all treated equally.
January 20th, 1981. I was so excited today. I met two families who escaped from East Germany by hot air balloon. They told me of other heroic families who dug tunnels or broke through sewers to escape communism. Hopefully the new leaders of the U.S. and USSR will seek a compromise so this wall will come down.
As president, Reagan had two goals: to increase military defense and defeat communism. General Secretary Mikhail Gorbachev had the goal of improving economic conditions for the Soviet Union. In 1985, the two men met at the Geneva Conference, and respect developed. They realized they both thought the best for their people. However, in 1987, Reagan issued a bold challenge to Gorbachev in his famous Brandenburg Gate speech.
I stand before millions of you, while in the distance I can see East Berlin guards holding their people back, trying to prevent them from hearing my words. My message to you all is this: General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, if you seek prosperity for the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, if you seek liberalization, come here to the state. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Across Europe, this wall will fall. For it cannot stand faith, it cannot stand truth. This wall cannot stand freedom.
For 28 years, I've tried to accept life behind this wall. But I can no longer be silent. We have a meeting in churches at night, the only place the Stasi seem to look the other way. Our gatherings fill to the shoes, sometimes to face the clubs of the police. We will no longer be deterred.
On November 4th, 1989, East Germany was poised for a change. 500,000 protesters gathered in the center of East Berlin.
Verstehen Volk! We are one people.
As pressure mounted, the GDR made a surprise announcement. Travel restrictions for East Germans would be lifted. Thousands rushed to the checkpoint, hoping to exercise their new freedom. Without clear instructions, the guards had no choice but to let the growing crowd pass. A peaceful revolution in the GDR had succeeded in opening the Berlin Wall.
Tonight, November 9, 1989, I am witnessing a historic moment. The Berlin Wall can no longer contain the East German people. Thousands are pouring across. The newly announced policy from the East German government will allow people to move through freely for the first time since this was erected in 1961. The announcement has brought East and West Germans to the wall to reunite. They're being joined again as one. No one can stand in their way. It's a night to remember.
I can't believe it's been 28 years.
I miss you so much.
Come, we have much to catch up on.
For the first time in 28 years, my mother is reunited with her sister. Now let's get back to your question.
So how does the Berlin Wall coming down have any effect on the world?
Well, for the world, it meant that the Cold War was over. A few years later, the USSR dissolved, and so did their influence over world politics. It created a vacuum where rogue nations and terrorist groups could be born, something that we deal with today.
So what happened in Germany?
Germany explored the delicate steps to reunification through the Allies' permission, but the task was overwhelming. West Germany encountered a bankrupt state, aging industrial facilities, and a crumbling infrastructure. For Germany, reunion would be exchanged for a $2.5 trillion price tag.
After 45 years of living under communism, many East Germans found it difficult to exchange socialism for capitalism. The citizens of East Germany no longer had a country. Freedom, they realized, came with sacrifices.
The fall of the Berlin Wall changed the landscape of world politics forever. The absence of the superpowers created a world where no single country had political or economic leverage.
The dissolution of communism allowed dozens of new nations to be born, increasing NATO. The world encountered unprecedented economic growth, allowing millions of people from all over the world to reach middle class.
Today, Germany is the fourth largest economy in the world and a strong political force.
It is now hard to imagine a people, a city, a nation, and a world divided by a wall.
The fall of this wall symbolized the end of the Cold War.
And its oppression was eliminated.
Forever.